Hey Lisi, it's Sophia here with a video review for you. I am so excited to do another one for you, especially since you're working on Arc Arms, which is one of my favorite movements, and I can't believe that was the first video review that I did for you. I have seen your dance progress so much since we first sort of met online, so this is really exciting for me to see your trajectory and how you've grown as a dancer. So let's get right into it here. I love this song, super playful. You always are just so radiant. I love it. Gorgeous. I mean, the angle on that arc arms, you know, comparing your hip bump home position here, nice and open, you know, you're still at dance angle, arm posture is gorgeous, elbows nice and lifted, and then using that pivot to get into this nice sharp angle. Oh my gosh, I have nothing else to say about that. It's just so perfect. It looks fabulous. So really, really good job on that. Here we go with arc arms. Follow through. Beautiful. Ugh, it looks fabulous. I really have no comments on that arc arm. It looks so good, Lisi. Super minor nitpick here on your hip bump going clockwise, I think. This isn't necessarily a rule per se, but it is good, a best practice to try and do it in 4 counts. The reason for that being that we are essentially traveling backwards and your followers can't really see what you're doing. So obviously, you know, it's not, no one's gonna be looking at it super closely. It's just a good practice to have so that your followers can really sync up with you when you're doing the hip bump in that direction. Beautiful transition into Arabic double turn. Lovely. Those turns look really smooth. I think the footwork could be adjusted just a little bit, so let's see if I can catch it here. So I like to think about the footwork for turns as being on this diagonal that runs from the front right corner to the back left corner. I'm going to switch my sides here. And there's just a slight over rotation that's happening with that foot, but it's 2 turns, it's happening pretty quickly, and I feel like you're coming to the front at the right time, so it's not something I'm super concerned about. It's just a very like minor detail that I'm honing in on because everything else looks so solid. So again, this angle looks really, really good. I can't tell for sure, but just make sure you're not locking out this right arm as you're extending it forward. You still want to maintain that nice soft curve in the elbow, even though it's extending in front of you. That looks really gorgeous. Ugh, gosh, what a beautiful arc arm. Into wet dog. Lovely shimmy. This is a movement that I personally struggle with, and I'm always really impressed by people who have a nice fluid wet dog. So I'm seeing a lot of really good upper body action. The arms could be a little bit more relaxed here, so I'm getting a little bit of, you know, this arm where the elbows are dropping a little bit. So if this is your normal posture, for shoulder shimmy, wet dog, gawazi, you're basically just letting those arms come down slightly. And that's what we mean by a relaxed arm. Not relaxed in this sense, right? So this is dropping the elbow, but dropping the entire arm slightly below this shoulder height level. What that's gonna do is it's gonna free up your shoulder muscles to be able to do your shimmy. So just keep those elbows lifted, bring them down slightly, and that's going to make it possible for you to have that shoulder shimmy. So we'll see that again a little bit later in a different movement, I think. But again, you know, this is a shoulder shimmy, so it's going to apply to your wet dog. It's going to apply to your basic shoulder shimmy. Your kawazi is also going to be a little bit of a more relaxed arm. And then, like I said before, lots of really great shoulder action. I'm not seeing it sort of travel down the body into the hips. So you do want to have the wagging of the dog come all the way down into the hips. This is something that I personally find very difficult. A way to work on that is to really get this undulation going so that you get the feel of the undulation as we're doing it, stepping and undulating, because this is a bit unusual in terms of the movements that we do, and then kind of adding the layers and trying to bring it down into the hips. So it sometimes helps for me to really think like shoulders, hip, shoulders, hip. That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head to try and get my body to do it. Not always consistent, not the strongest movement for me. But that's what I do in my personal practice to try and articulate the different parts of that movement. But again, the shoulder movement looks really fantastic. Just bring it down into the hips. Gorgeous. And what I loved about this, and I didn't comment on this earlier, is falling back here into your hip bump position. So the angles are very clear in your arc arm, and that makes me so, so, so happy. It's beautiful. It looks great. So keep up the good work. Here we go into wet dog. So again, upper body looks fabulous. Relax the arms a little bit, keep those elbows lifted, allow the undulation to come down into the hip. I think what's challenging about this movement is that a lot about the wet dog is just about letting go, right? It's structured in that there is a count, there are specific parts of the movement, but a lot of the undulation going from the hip, the shoulders down to the hip is just about letting go. And our dance form is so controlled, right? Our posture is about control, our movements are about controlling momentum, about controlling where our arms are. And the wet dog, you just kind of have to let that go. Keep the elbow lifted. And I think that's hard for fat chance dancers, right? Because we're so lifted, we're so in control and regal in our bodies, but the wet dog is a much more folkloric feel. It's a very grounded movement. And so the challenge for that is really just allowing yourself to go, allow that undulation to travel down the body into the hips. I have a lot of sound effects in my head for how things go, and wet dog is really just like, you're just letting that undulation roll down your body. You gotta let your hair down a little bit on that one. And I don't say that flippantly, or I'm not trying to be flippant, because it's very difficult to do that, to let go. But I think that's kind of the mindset that you need to have for that movement. So here we are in Turkish. Your footwork looks so good in this movement. The angles are very crisp. The footwork is just, your feet are exactly where they need to be. The count on the turn is great. Everything about the Turkish looks super, super strong. So great work on that. Again, that angle change, I love it. It's so beautiful. It is just so clear. There's no way that you could mistake that, I think. From your standard hip bump, here we are. This is gorgeous. This wrist could come down just a touch. Keep it in line with your shoulder height versus allowing this right arm to sneak up a little bit. And then just going into that angle. Look at how crisp and clear that is. God, I love it. Lisi, you're making me so happy. You're also making my job very difficult right now. Gorgeous follow through. Nice transition into your Arabic. The Arabic looks really fantastic. So Arabic hip twist with flourish. Another one of my favorite movements. I feel like I say that about every movement. Starting position looks really good. This looks really good. The angle on the camera, I think, is a little bit low, but it looks like your arms are nice and level. You know, just make sure that they're not too high. And then, you know, the body angle here looks so good. You know, your dance angle is really just spot on here. The movement, there's a little bit of movement in the hand. So what I'm seeing, the Arabic hip twist, you know, we talk about maintaining this frame as you're doing the movement, and you do want this to be a soft floreo. So what the movement really is kind of moving around the zills, right? The zills are heavy. I think you're using wood zills, so the feel of it might be a little bit different with wood zills. You're letting your wrist move around the zills, and I think what I'm seeing here is this. But I'm not really seeing a floreo, so I want to see the wrist rotation versus just, I think almost like a wave. Like it seems like part of the floreo is missing. So I just want to see a little more articulation in the floreo, because I think what I'm seeing here is it comes out and then it goes back in maybe. I feel like what I'm missing is the wrist lift part of it. And possibly what's happening is that because the forearms are moving, I'm not seeing the wrist lift so much. So a good way to practice this is to allow the arms to keep them stationary so that you can feel what the hand position should be, and then adding in, I can't do it, adding back in the floreo. So it's you don't want too much movement here, and you want to make sure that you're really articulating the full floreo, and I feel like I'm just missing a part of it. But the arm position looks great. Let's go back to your Arabic hip twist. I went back too far, but that's okay, because I'll just see another one of these gorgeous arc arms. Okay, here we go. Into our Arabic hip twist. Yeah, I'd just like to see more articulation in the hand floreo. And then also, this is something that I also find difficult, is really keeping that second chest lift in the movement. So it is an Arabic step. That's the family. So it's going to be lifting on 1, 3, 1, 3. So you want to make sure to maintain this chest lift here. And the second one tends to get a little bit lost. Because the body is rotating, it feels like what you're doing is kind of a ribcage circle, but you're really just lifting as the body is rotating. Yeah. So again, these are all super, super tiny, minor, nitpicky details. I am just straining for things, Lisi. That looks gorgeous. Q is nice and clear. The arms are very clean. That looked great. It looks fabulous. And another thing that I'm going to comment on here that I'm really happy to see, and not something, I'm not sure if this was feedback that I gave you the last time. I'd have to review my video, but I like that you're keeping this nice and segmented in your movements. So here you're forward for 4 counts, Q for 4 counts, turn for 4 counts, follow through for 4 counts, right? Nice and segmented, and Carolina loves that. She's very picky about that, keeping it very segmented in that way. Egyptian, triple Egyptian. Let's get to the beginning of that one. So the arms are just a touch wide. You can see it most clearly when you're facing the back. Back way too far, which is okay. Okay. So here the arms are just a touch wide. I just like to see them a little bit narrower. You know, it's different than if this is our Arabic arm. You know, you're going for this teardrop shape, slightly wider, about directly over your shoulders is what you want to aim for with your Egyptian arms versus wide field goal arms. I don't know if that translates into German. So this is just a little bit wide. I just like to see it, you know, these forearms just angled in slightly. Again, it's different than an Arab. It's not quite as narrow as an Arabic arm, but just this could be a little bit narrower. The arm movement looks really good though. You're really pulling that arm back versus letting the elbow drop, so I'm very happy with that. The thing that I loved about this particular arc arms is that the character of it felt really different because the music was different. It was a little bit softer, and you still kept with the 4 counts. You know, you still kept with the count of the movement, but it just had this softness to it that the other ones didn't have, and I liked how soft it was. And then the contrast of going into that Chico. Chico looked fabulous. Let's look at it again. Beautiful, strong, like, ugh. I mean, this is gorgeous, right? Whole body is to that corner. Face is looking in that direction. The foot position looks really good. A nice flat foot. Looks gorgeous. I really have no complaints here on the Chico. I'm very picky about it. I'm picky about all of them, but that one in particular, into triangle stuff. A real quick triangle step. No comments on that one. It looked really solid. So here we are. Kudos to you for wet dogging forward. I never take that one forward. I often forget that it can. So that's a good reminder to all of us that you can't take the wet dog forward. So again here, elbows are a little bit dropped here, so just lift those elbows, bring the entire arm slightly down. Your arm will be in the perfect position. And let that undulation come down to the hips. Good angle change there as you went to the Arabic. Arabic shimmy looked really nice. Yes. So again, you know, not to belabor the point, but again here, same arm position as your wet dog. You want to keep those elbows lifted and just lower the arms slightly so that you can access these muscles. But the movement of the shoulder shimmy itself looks really beautiful. Nice hip drop. I loved it. So playful and fun. Oh, Lisi, thank you for letting me be a part of your practice. I know I've said it before, but I'm always so inspired by how dedicated you are to learning and to practicing. It is such a delight to have you in FCBD online. I have really enjoyed getting to know you online these last couple of years now. And I really hope that we're able to dance together at some point, at least, you know, meet each other and dance together. That would make me really happy. So again, I really was stretching it for feedback for you here. The Arabic, or excuse me, the arc Arms looks really fabulous. The angles look fantastic. My biggest feedback for you would be the arms on that wet dog and allowing the undulation to travel down the body. It's something that I'm working on myself, so this is a good reminder for me. And same applies to the shoulder shimmy arms, but everything is just so solid. It looks really, really great. So let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've said, and I look forward to more videos and more interacting with you online. So I hope you are taking good care and staying safe, and I will talk to you again soon.